Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Keeping It Spiritually Simple. I am your host, Sandra. And, here's another prime example of ordinary people living an extraordinary life, having experiences that they can incorporate into their everyday life that just changes things. So, my guest today is Ms. Dina Ziskin-Fortune. She is my sister of light in light language. And we want to welcome her today and share her information. Welcome, Dina.
Hi. Thank
How
you.
are you?
Great. I'm feeling really super grateful. Thank you. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Pretty good. Juggling a couple things, but that's life, and I'm happy to do it and have the freedom to be able to juggle at this moment because so many do not in other countries and other places. So I'm feeling quite grateful.
Yeah, I hear that.
So Miss Artist here, Dina and I connected a while back on Facebook through mutual likes of things, and she is an amazing artist and healer and light language facilitator. And just tell us a little bit about this journey of how you got to now.
Oh, wow. There's so many little pieces of the puzzle. What I was working, I've been an artist pretty much since I was a kid and doing a whole full-time job, support my life, support my habit, so to speak, as an artist, right? Trying to figure out how to be an artist and gaining skills so that I could be a full-time artist. But what happened along the way was that I realized that I wanted my art to have intention. And it took a long period of not painting for a while because I was going down the road of network marketing and really focusing on that for a period. And all of a sudden I realized I forgot to do what brought me the most joy. And I love talking with people and I love connecting with people, but I also love to paint and just have that meditation time. So I forgot the question already. But so when I started to transition to start doing art again, I started to set the intention of wanting to create healing art. And it was with that and to help myself heal from old stuff and having new perspectives of how to look at myself in this world as an artist working a full-time job, trying to make sense of what am I doing here? Why am I working a full-time job when I'm really an artist? How do I make sense of all this? It caused me to just really start looking at myself and wanting to work at how to use art and healing together. And then from there, it just started to open up.
Mm-hmm. Well, when you were talking, I was thinking of what happened was a dragon came along.
Oh yeah,
and took me on a dragon had some paintbrushes and took me on this woo journey. So that's what happened was.
I know. It's so funny because that did happen. So I started going into all this healing, looking at different healing modalities, and I had won this reconnection journey, this reconnection healing, and that was also part of the beginning. And then right after that, months later, all of a sudden I'm driving to work. Thank you for reminding me, by the way. Driving to work, and I see a dragon in the sky. I see these clouds that literally make up this giant dragon, and I made it to work looking at this dragon as I'm driving to work. Don't try that at home. And after that, and that was on February 22nd, 2020. And then soon after that, I met Brandy, and a Brandy and she did the channeling for me. And it was like, yep, we're going to be painting with you. You're going to be painting with us. You're going to be channeling our energy, and you got this whole mission, should you choose to take it, of, anchoring in these energies with the painting, and the paintings becoming catalysts. Okay. So that when the dragons came in, it was like game on. It was like, and then I was talking to the dragons, and then I was talking a dragon. It took over. It became a whole new life.
Yeah. And your art reflects that. And to me, we are a living library of knowledge, we are. And everything is in our vessel, within the soul, etc. And your art to me is like this living, breathing, I don't want to say masterpiece, because that's so like isolated, but it's so like you do it from a place of a very angelic sacredness, and you can see it, and it's also fun. But then you also, you paint through this, like you get into the zone and you paint through this, and then it's coming through in language for you as well.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's like all these different lifetimes, right? That of information in our Akashic library, and I knew I had all these different pieces, and discovering that I was a dragon in another lifetime. And Lord help me for saying that out loud for the longest time, because but but here's the thing though, we're all so multidimensional, right? And thank goodness for, the session that I had with you, which really helped solidify and help me see that I was not crazy, because all these different lifetimes I had lived these lives of being a priestess and, a healer, and connecting with the dragons, and having, lifetimes of being a dragon. And the session that I had with you was really, really illuminating. And like, I remember I was just like, whoa. And even today, just rereading you had typed it out for me so graciously, reading it again, I was like, oh yes. Like I went back there. It was made it more real for me again, to connect the dots, and I do, it's like, there's a lot of dot connecting happening, and so, yeah, so like today I found it again, and I read it, and the way that you typed it out, it was so easy for me to read it and go back there. And I was like, whoa. And I cried the whole time I was reading it. And I was like, oh my God, I got to tell Sandra about this, because it's like, I get to re-experience it and re-experience it in like, from like, almost like from another aspect of myself, looking back in a window.
Mm-hmm. That's the power of it, because you're connecting the dots to the soul, and the kind of work that we connected on through what I do helps connect some of those dots to what's the original source of who I am, and all of who I am, right. And that's so powerful. And I'm so glad you could pick up those notes after a few months and go, oh, and then go right back in there, because the key is to keep empowering for you, for the person receiving, to continue to open these portals, these windows, these doors to the magic and the power of our soul.
Right. And I feel like there was more gifts. Like I didn't even remember it as it was written it. So so reading it, it cued back things that I didn't even remember because I was in an emotional, like I was in it, and it's, so it was like, so I'm so glad that you typed it out, because I don't know, I didn't know that I would have picked up on those nuances. So I really feel like that was a huge pivot for me to have that experience with you.
Well, thank you.
And to help me move forward and seeing these aspects of my soul that, yeah.
Well, everything's a catalyst. And, saying that, is when you do this type of whether you want to call it regression, whatever it is, but while you're doing all this work and merging all the fractals of yourself, you're opening to so many catalysts within that, because something might come up and it doesn't make sense at the moment. And then you reflect later and you're like, now I see this in a different way, because you can't change anything. You're just looking at it with more clarity, understanding through different perception, a different lens.
Right. And what really popped out at me today was the oneness, and like the history, and like the inner knowledge, and the access to the Akash that like I have. And like I keep getting references to lions, and then there were lions in the there was a reference to the lion in the experience, like it is like an experience, and like lions keep coming back up for me, and I'm like, oh my gosh, the lions. And now I'm connecting with channeling Lyran. I've been recently channeling Lyran light language, and so it's like, oh, like it's so making sense. And Sekhmet, and I've been recently channeling Sekhmet, which brings me back to that moment where like I was being initiated by a Lyran priestess in one of the windows, one of my lifetimes. And so it's like, how do I pull all of that into the oneness, the wholeness of me now? And how do I use that information, utilize this information and energy to be of service? And that's like the biggest thing, the what do I do with all this information, and embodying it, the embodiment of it to be the best version of myself. And then how do I put it into painting? So now I'm like, I got to do a painting of Sekhmet.
Oh, that'll be interesting how that comes through your eyes. Now, just for a quick second, I know you're referring to the session you and I had. It's interesting because once I'm done the session, the doors are closed. I don't remember anything. I don't keep notes. I don't keep recordings. So when you're talking right now, I'm like, what? I want this session. That sounds amazing. But I'm so happy that it was so profound for you. And I can't wait to see what you channel with bringing Sekhmet and the lions through.
Yeah, I've been, it's like I embody like the way she kind of takes over my body a little bit. It's very, yeah, we'll have a little of that. We'll have a little bit of that.
Yeah, well, she's here now. I just saw, I have a little signal I have with her, and I just saw it behind you. So she's definitely right now with us in this chit chat that we're having. So I know, like many of us, we have other jobs to pay our bills, and we're doing other things to be of service and to bring forth our divine abilities that we all have. Some of us just get to it before others. And we're working on using these abilities to be our mainstream, right. What sustains us in so many things. So outside of your full-time job, while you're doing this painting, there are other things that you do. And can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I am a light language activator. So basically I help other people that are ready and open to have their soul language be activated. It's already within them. It's just a matter of like me helping to spark the ignite it for them. And I do that through light language. That's one thing. And then also with the creativity, I'm doing workshops with people to help them with their divine creativity, to help expand their creativity, tune into it with, creating. So it's kind of different for each person, but it's mainly an intuitive session around their creativity. And then the other one is these like blended Akashic sessions where it could entail me performing clearing, energetic clearing, and channeling messages, and giving some information that's channeled for their higher self with where they are now. And so it's kind of like, is there something else? And I'm doing workshops with multiple people where I'm guiding them through intuitive painting, really working on, there's some new things I'm going to be doing, like intentionally. I wanted to really create space for people to be their authentic selves and allow things to turn on. And by holding space and kind of like, I guess, a mentorship, like conversational kind of energy.
Yeah.
So,
And let's talk about that for a second, because, we hear so many words, authentic, that it becomes almost generic. You know what I mean? But what we need to understand is we have lived a life of the monkey mind, the mission of the mind versus the mission of the soul. And through millenniums, we've been entrained more and more and more and more and more that we don't even know that we're in this little tiny box, and there's so much more to who we are. And unfortunately, until we hit cancel, alt, delete, and get out of this mental space and go into the heart and find out what is driving us in there. You're switching passenger to backseat to running behind a car to literally being the driver of the vehicle, depending on where you are in your life. And so helping people to do this through art takes you into, and I'm going to make a point on that one in a second, into a zone that allows you, just like playing an instrument or certain types of meditation or music, because we each have these vibrational codes and frequencies within us. It's just that we're not hearing the frequencies pinging inside of us because of all the distractions that have been created for us just to be done in one day, 1 week, 1 month, 1 year. And so it's foreign to many people on what is your authentic self.
right.
And so I'm just so happy that you're doing this kind of work to, and not everyone's artistic. And I'm sure you work with that too. For me, I have something, I think it's called dysgraphia, and I didn't know I had that till like 5 decades into my life. And that is where I can see an object, but when it pings around in here to come out here, it's not the same. So you know what? I just accept that. And when all these symbols and light language and hieroglyphics and sacred geometry come to me, I see them clearly, but not long enough for me to try to write. And when I try to draw it just doesn't come out the same. However, it has the same power of activation. So teaching people through your art and your workshops and getting into that intuitive painting, of getting into that authentic thing, I have to applaud you on that.
Thank you. It's still a work. It's like still very channeled. Like I'm not totally holding the wheel on that one. It's very, I want to say, higher self driven.
Yeah.
Because like, but and I wanted to point out on the artist part, because like when I paint, I can just show you one, right?
Sure, absolutely. You can show a few if you'd like.
Okay, so This is one of the more recent ones I'm playing with.
Mhm.
I'm not getting an image in my head and then drawing it, just so you know. I'm literally just like, oh, make circles. Like, I'm just guided to do the thing. I'm not, and the thing is, I do sometimes get images in my head, like when I'm doing a meditation, but when I go to draw that, it does not come out like it's in my head, just so you know.
Well, it's the same as like automatic writing. Anyone that does automatic writing, they sit down with just the intention of allowing spirit to go through you. And so you really have no idea what's making sense at all until maybe you look at it sometimes even a week later. And what I'm thinking you're doing is almost like an automatic artistry,
Painting.
like an
Yeah.
automatic artistry is what I think I'm hearing you say.
Yeah, basically, yeah. It's like instead of automatic writing, I'm automatic painting.
Yeah.
Or I'm automatic drawing. And I'm not like, sometimes I'll be like, oh yeah, I would love to paint Sekhmet, but like I literally have to let go and like not try to draw or paint what I think she looks like, but just like allow her to work through me. Like I have one of Mother Mary, and it's not over here right now, but I have one of Mother Mary, but that one just appeared. I wasn't trying to paint her. It just emerged. And then I look at them and I'm like, whoa. Oh, and that was the other thing. I do higher self paintings and soul code paintings.
I know. I was hoping you were going to say that.
I almost forgot. So, and that's like kind of like a combined intuitive, like combining the intuitive sessions and painting, and then the outcome is either a soul code painting or a higher self painting, but it's kind of like the same thing. It's just same and different, because it's like one is more like all code and you don't really see any figures, but the higher self painting is more where like you might see a figure. And for one I just did, there were 4 or 5 faces in it, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. But then I give them a reading, I give them a channeling, I do an Akashic reading with them. Like I do a ceremony with them where we open up and they're giving me permission to tap into their higher self and communicate with their higher self so that I can have their higher self guide me into the painting, so that I'm not using my ego. I'm being fully guided by their higher self to paint what they need to see. And then like codes will come through, and then I do another session with them. And then I get not only do they get the painting, but they also get some updates, and they also get a channel message from the painting.
Mm.
So it's I realized this, and when someone else said this to me, it like just made me so happy. My paintings are consciousness on a canvas.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's what I meant by living, breathing.
Yeah. And
that's what I meant when I said that. It's living, breathing. Like we're a living, breathing library. Your painting is a living, breathing. So you just said that.
Yeah.
High five, girlfriend.
I know, right? And I just discovered that the other day, and somebody said it to me who I never said that to. And I was like, whoa, yes, I said it in my mind. But then when somebody else outside of me said it, and now again today, I was like, thank you for the confirmation. Thank you for the confirmation, And so and I don't know who's going to come to me next for one, I mean, I'm just kind of like, I'm here, and like, when they're meant to do it, they do it. It's like, okay, what's next?
Yeah. And then we'll put your links in the description too. And so another point that's coming through is the fact that you're creating a modality that is unique to what your soul DNA blueprint is asking you to do at this moment, because there's so many levels. I mean, 2 years from now, you could be someplace different. You know what I mean? Because
Right.
just wherever your soul and vibrational frequencies are at this time, it's like I don't work traditionally at all. I don't even like to call it anything because it's all divine stuff. And anybody that's looking to reach out and really find themselves, this kind of stuff that you're doing is so amazing. And I also wanted to say, nobody really knows what Mother Mary looked like. Her name wasn't even Mary anyway. And Sekhmet doesn't have much out there on her. She has some stuff people created that they think looks like her, but actually there's not. So when she comes through to me, she can look very different. It can look very bearish. And then all of a sudden, it's the lioness. And she has a specific thing that she does that I know it's her because we've gotten to know each other. I've done a lot of stuff with her, especially recently. So that is going to be so exciting because whatever comes through is going to be authentic, meaning it's not, oh, I saw that somewhere and I'm semi-replicating it. Is that really my work? I mean, there's no way you can question it being channeled.
Right. Yeah. And like, I didn't even know, by the way, I didn't even know what channeling was before 2019. Okay. Just want to put it out there. Didn't even know it was a thing. And so now it's like learning, about channeling and, and the visuals, like, I see, sometimes I get off topic, so pardon me. It's just, it can get a little crazy up in there, and so that's why
I'm aware.
I just kind of like, I love to just open up. I've been learning how to open up my channel more through singing. And luckily, like, I've been so blessed to meet so much of my soul family. And that's really like where I feel like the people that I go to, like yourself, like our soul family. Like, I don't just go to anyone. I think I've had to become very discerning about like who I allow in my energy, and so that I can, discern, because also the thing that strikes me too is that, the way that you guided me through the past life, journey was so empowering. And it really helped me see that, like, I could see, like, and so I wanted to mention that because I think I forgot to say that a while ago. And that I could see more than I was trusting that I could see. And I feel like that's a huge step, is being able to trust ourselves and trust our intuitive guidance, because that's what I feel like is the most authentic, is like the first thing that comes through, like the first response. But then I don't know why I'm bringing this up, but it's been a lesson in discernment because this whole journey, that's why.
Well, it's because we're taught that unless you see it right in front of you, it doesn't exist. But then you're also taught through other belief systems that you're supposed to believe the writing in that book is authentic and you better follow it. But we all know that so much is like, once you start shedding these layers, this is how I look at it. Once we start like getting the muck off of the original created source, right? The soul, the more we see the vulnerability, but also the majestic magic in it, the sacredness in it. So we want to protect it. And the first thing we have to do is begin to discern who is right to be in my energy at this moment, because it's sacred and you can't take it, and nor do I want to override it and give you something that I shouldn't. And also when we get together with soul tribes like this, somewhere along the lines, we've contracted to meet, because when you meet, it's like, ba-boom,
right?
Ba-boom. It's like, I never met, are you sure? I mean, I've not met you. We don't even live in the same continent, but
Right?
we meet in the astro planes we've met before this. We've been together on different lifetimes. Some people can look similar to each other, but it's really all about a vibrational frequency. It truly
Right.
is. It's about a vibrational frequency. And we're living in this condensed, body that weighs a certain amount, that's a certain height. That's our identity. And that's not our identity. Our identity is being able to push that box away and begin to experiment with all the vibes out here. And so
Right.
art, light language, and light language, this is how I've always understood it before I could ever speak it. And I never have asked anyone when they had done it for me before I actually understood it. I never said, like, what did you say? I knew somewhere in this musical vocal of any kind that it had a vibrational meaning to me in that moment. And I didn't need to put the waterfall through a straw and try to, have it come out in a cup and then describe it like that, because it is the waterfall, it is the magnificence. And yes, sometimes when I do light language, I can set my intention for someone, or when I'm doing a video, and just let what comes through come through and just be in that.
Right.
You do a little bit more in-depth stuff because you practice a lot more than I do. I only do it when it comes through for me, when there's a need. And sometimes it's like, whoa. And you can like go all different dialects. And I'm like, I have no freaking clue what my dialect is. Apparently it's many, but I have no clue. And I don't even concern myself with it because, again, it's taking the waterfall through a straw and then trying to describe it when it's coming out of the straw. It just pollutes and squeezes it into this little teeny micro tube of explanation. Just experience it and feel it and let it vibe with you. And if you can turn off some sensories and just listen, you'll feel.
Right. Well, I think, I don't always, just so you know, I don't always know what dialect I'm speaking. I don't. But yes, new ones come in, and sometimes I'm like, what is that? Because I'm curious, and I get funny. Like some of them are just so funny that like I had to be like, what is that? Because some of them are just so like outrageous, and I giggle. But also, I think the reason why I want to know the dialects is so that when I am activating someone, I can recognize, and then I can tell them if they want to know. So it's, but I feel like sometimes it's a lot of times I like to just let it flow. But like, I like knowing the difference between my soul language and the light language so that I can be more aware that like, which is my energy versus the energies that want to come through.
Sure.
And I feel like that's kind of why I want to know what the different one, like deciphering which ones. But like sometimes it's just kind of like, oh, that's Sekhmet. Okay, that's interesting. Why is Sekhmet coming through now? Like, why does Sekhmet want to come through? Like, what? Like, ooh, like that's special.
You contract. She's contracted to work with you, so at least who it is. I mean, I don't always know. Again, it's all my spirit guides just keep saying to me, don't worry about the dialect. You're getting anal retentive, Sandy. Stop. Just focus on the movement, all the energy and what you feel like doing. And don't worry about how ridiculous you might look. Just do it. And thank God, a lot of it comes out when I'm by myself. But remember, I was on a horse farm doing some therapy work on the grounds and all that. And all the stuff was coming through. And I sent you the video. And of course, she's like, oh, it sounds like this. And it sounds like this. And it sounds like this. And I'm like, you're no help, Dina. I'm like voice messaging going, thanks for narrowing it down. Click. So again, Spirit was like, stop getting in your head about it. Stop getting in your head about it. Just
Yeah, well, I only sometimes go to listen to the recording, not like when I'm in the flow.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, like, hey, if you don't, I feel like sometimes it's just nice. It's nice to just allow, like, it's always best, I feel like, especially when you're really wanting to channel and just be in the flow, is just like to completely, like, yeah, not care about the dialect and just, but I a lot of times just record it and then listen to it later just to be like,
Mm.
oh, what was that about? Like, what's in this? And sometimes I still don't even ask for a dialect. And then later I was like, that sounds like that. And later so it depends on the situation, but like, hey, like in your journey, you don't want to know about the dialects. I respect that. I'll just let it flow, and I will never tell you what I think the dialect.
And I will never send you another recording either. I'm just kidding.
Oh,
But, I do want to ask about that because, think about it this way. Sometimes we're moving energy, right? And so it can be very of what feels like a visceral, coming up. But then one day I was doing it in the car and stuff was happening, and it felt like this, like my heart was beating in a different way, and the energies were coming up and they were opening the bronchioles this way versus most people open the bronchioles through breathing and expanding in that I forget the name of the breath, but it's where you backwards. Yes, where you can expand this way, but I have found a few times recently that it's coming up this way. And so for me now, I only have one functioning vocal cord. And so I came into this earth with a lot to say with only one functioning vocal cord. And so what they tell me is we are just practicing to open all of this up for more things to come out, not necessarily just light language. It's almost like a spiritual, energetic, athletic, spiritual athletic ritual I got to do.
Oh, I love that. And I would love to see what that is. It's so funny. I was just looking at one of the paintings I drew a while ago.
Can we see?
What?
Do you have it there?
It's not in here right now. It's
okay.
In the other room.
Next time.
But on the bottom of it, it has a horse. And I was like, so interesting. And then when you were talking about the horses and the light language, I immediately thought about the horse in the painting. And I was like, it's our first time, and I've been wanting to paint horses and wanting to connect with horses again. There's something about horses that I just, it's probably from other lifetimes of connecting with horses. But I just, when you sent me the message with the light language and the horses, I got so excited. I just got so excited to see it. I just got to tell you.
Well, I got invited to like a therapy horse farm where they're working with parents and children. And I was invited up first off to anchor the energy and work on the grounds. And the moment I opened my eyes that morning, it was just pouring out of me. Driving an hour and a half there, it's just pouring out of me. And I'm this tapping of my chest and so on. And then I was up in an observing room watching some of them do some riding skills. And I was doing it. And I was like, it kept getting louder and louder. So then later when I went outside, I happened to be by myself on the horse fence. And it started coming through again. I thought, let me just record it. And when I was done, I was like, the horses didn't even look up. I'm thinking, I'm talking their language. And they're going to be like, ooh, there's our old soulmate. Let's go talk to Sandy. Instead, they're like, nah, we're eating grass.
You know what's so funny? The same thing happened to me today in the bird store, in a store where they have animals, that store called Petco. I went up to go talk to the birds, and the birds were all like this. They were all like, they were looking away. They were not squawking at me. And all I heard in my head was, you keep teasing us. We're not even like when you're ready, come, but we're not even, like, you just keep teasing us. Like, they were just not even interested in me today. And then I went and I got my eyebrows waxed, and I was telling the girl how the parakeets were just like basically like whatever. And she's like, yeah, parakeets are really temperamental. And I'm like, now I'm like, maybe I don't want a parakeet. But like every time I go to the store to look at these birds because I want to get one, I'm also like, I want to make sure I can take care of it before I take it from there where they know, right? I know it's completely off topic, but
well, no, because you can't take it back.
right. And so I'm just kind of wondering, like, maybe there's a reason why they were all like today, but like also you don't know what they might be like sitting there like, this lady's talking to us and we never had this experience before, so we don't really know what to do, so we're just going to keep eating because this is new. We've never had a human talk to us in our language.
Well, you know what I'm getting when you say that? I'm getting that you're trying to put it all into this logical left brain English of what they're saying. And basically they're giving you a lesson. And it's more like, keep going back and practicing. We're going to respond one of these times. The second message I got was, if you are going to get a bird, the bird you're supposed to get wasn't in that cage you were talking to today.
Oh, because they were all like uninterested.
Oh no, they were giving you the back treatment. They were giving you the butt and the back treatment. They're like,
they were.
Look,
they were like this. They were like,
they're like, look at my ruffled feathers, lady, my butt. You look at that.
Oh my God, it was so funny. And I kept talking to them because I was like, what is going on with you guys? Like, it was so funny. I was like crazy lady in the bird store. And but then my friend called me and I was like, okay, I gotta go. But yeah, no, but I feel like it's really funny, like, because I do speak in Blue Avian. And I have a Blue Avian painting. I don't know if you can see it. It's like,
not really. Back the other way, I think.
Yeah. Oh, it's like too high up.
There you go.
Can you see it?
Yeah, and if anybody else wants to look at it closer, they can just zoom in.
Yeah.
When they're watching, when the millions are watching this video.
Right. Well, yeah. But that was how I knew that what my higher self was showing to me as a Blue Avian. And so that's how I got into the higher self paintings, because some of my friends, so family, were like, you're painting your higher self. Will you paint my higher self? And that's how I started painting other people's higher self, because I was already painting my higher self. I just didn't know it yet. And that was like, okay, how am I going to paint other people's higher self? I have no freaking clue how that's going to look, but okay, let's do this. And I am so happy to report that both people were very, very happy. And
I have no doubt.
And it was just such a like stepping out of the comfort zone and into allowance and into trust. And yeah, like totally being like, well, maybe, 3D Dina isn't going to be really doing it, but maybe like higher self Dina will be doing it.
Well, you're merging with the higher self. So it really is you. And we're walking on the 3D earth. We're just expanding our consciousness into the 5D. And then how do we pull all these fractals of ourself back in and walk all together with it, So that's freaking cool. So do you have any messages that are coming through that you would like to share with our peeps?
I know my yeah. Shoo. Shukura niali kato jialaya koto yashakaria kataya sakuria shenileo so deja koria zina. Step into your heart space and travel in towards the light of the blue sun, the blue rose that lives within. Giving yourself compassion for the things that you did not know. Giving yourself compassion for the moments you feel alone. Siana kioto tu yasagina kuyasa kotu hanyalo muyasa niakara yasi yato yasa. You are never alone. You are never alone. Shialaya koto jinayo koto yasakaya shakoto yaka.
There was it came over me with that. Kind of made me blurry-eyed, like I was like, ooh. Like, is that you, Mom? Is that you, Dina? Like,
thank you. Yeah. I just feel like that's the whole message right now, is like, we really are not alone, like on so many levels, like so many levels. And I feel like it's just knowing that we're surrounded by love. Like love is really in the air, and like our auras, like even with our auras being filled with love and then extending them out, and then like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just, there's so, like, all these beings that we think of that are outside of us are not really outside of us. They're part of us. So I feel like that's part of it. Like Archangel Michael, like his energy lives with us, like, and all of that, like, it's like they live in our hearts, and then we call upon them, and then we can maybe feel like they're projected. I mean, this is my belief. This is how I'm seeing it, is that like, it's almost like pulling them out from our heart so we can see them or feel them, but like they're living with us. We just don't always have the awareness that like they've been with us all along.
Yeah.
And I feel like that, like, oh yeah, I'm not really alone. I can call upon all these different aspects of myself. I can call upon, my God source energy. I can call upon Archangel Michael. I can call upon my higher self. It's just like, it's like a symphony. And then I feel like that's why the light language means so much to me, because I feel like it's a way to hear all of these energies coming together into one song.
Yeah. And you hear that, and of course, I have sight, so I see a lot of things. And one of my twins is on the other side, and apparently I've left him there to be in charge of my spiritual development and protection. And so the last couple of years, since I've been able to really figure out who he is on all these things that I see, every time he has different animals and beings and people, and there's always playfulness and kissing and hugging. It's like watching an animated cartoon where you have all these different animals just jumping over and snuggling and kissing and rubbing and hugging and then waltzing. And I sit there sometimes and go, because he's me, I know it's happening here, and I sit still and then I can begin to feel it. And when I
Wow.
have gone into a deep sight before and maybe up on the wall in front of me or something, I can see them right next to me and I can see them touching. But if I was to, I mean, this is eyes open. I can see eyes closed too. It's just a different texture. But when I do it either way, especially eyes open, and I can see like a silhouette on the wall of them, then I can really tap into feeling them. But if I was to refocus my eyes into that 3D thing, you're not seeing them as much. But I'm learning to see them more now in that aspect too. So the orbs just come flying at me and beings, and I'm like, hello, hello. And where some people have more of a hearing, and then you work through the artistry, the painting of it, because they come through in that vibrational frequency for you. And everybody's a little bit different on their receiving. And we have to stop doubting ourselves and just go into what may appear to be a make-believe, but it's really real. I'm
Right?
telling
Oh
you,
my God.
it's wheel, people. It's Willy Wheel.
It's really real. And
It's Willy Wheel.
On my car ride home the other day, like a friend of mine was like giving me like a mini interview, and she was like, do you feel like sometimes like you're making it up? And then like I was thinking about that question on the car ride home, and I was kind of like, well, yeah, in a sense, I am making it up, because I'm manifesting something that was in ethereal form. I'm bringing it through my throat, and it's becoming something in an energy that's coming through my body. So yeah, in that sense, I'm making it up, because I'm like, there's no way I can ever imagine the sounds that come through my body to ever happen before. Like, I don't write out what I'm about to say and be like, so I was like, yeah, in a sense I am making it up, but like, as much as I'm manifesting this reality right now, like, and so I just thought it was a really interesting question, because as people are learning about light language and soul language, to some it sounds like another, like some people it might sound like I'm just talking another foreign language that they just don't recognize. And there's no English to light language dictionary to look up. So I don't know, it's just such a fascinating thing to me.
Well, it is very fascinating. It's like, babies are talking in all kinds of vocals, right? And
Right.
we're the ones forcing them to put it into a narrow tube and make it into a word that actually means something, of a dictionary we didn't create, really. It was created for us to really narrow down the emphasis of what it is. But babies naturally do it, and they're communicating. And watch two babies get together, and they'll just be, and they understand each other totally. And that is their language. But we change that language into what we're speaking now, whatever language, wherever we are, raised in, whatever that is, whatever, mine's English, but we're changing that. And then they're getting away from the vocal movements of that heart energy. And then we forget about it. And
Right.
we're really bringing a lot of that back through it.
Well, this is like, and I love talking about all this, because there's so much like that I don't know too. So it's nice to hear other perspectives, like, like, just, I mean, I have some sight, but like, that's not my, I was just talking about this too. I'm like, I really want to like have my third eye like open, like to be able to see more. But like at the same time, I'm grateful that I can see what I can see.
So let me just say this to you and to anyone that's listening. Your third eye is not just about sight. It's about information that comes through in whatever vibrational frequency. We have our earth gifts, and we have our spiritual gifts. And so many people want to contain the earth and its clairsentient, clairaudient, clairvisual, whatever it is. To me, that's just whatever. So your third eye is open because you're feeling the frequency coming through you and you're putting it into your art and into your light language. And so those are probably things that were what you designed your inner original software and soul, this body, this physical body, to bring through, right? And maybe that's going to be where, because we can't all be like, oh yeah, I see that. Oh, who's hearing? Who's coming through with art? I mean, it's like you can't build a house and everybody show up with wood. Okay, we need a lot of other things. So that's kind of what really our light language is about. And it's not just about light language, it's about our frequencies of communication. And the very first one is the empathy. It's the feelings of feeling. And so we're taught at a young age to shut those down too. But that's your number one primary, is to feel things and then to feel them and let them go, not allow them to get stuck in the physical body or the emotional body. And then we're also here to process previous emotional body baggage, right? And it has to come through and filter through the physical body. So light language is learning how to, I can feel it. I feel it in my body releasing. And there was a video I was going to do one where I kept getting a lot of like congestion in my throat. And I said, this is really annoying. I can't do this every 2 minutes while I'm doing a video. So I turned it off and I got up and I was like, okay. And light language came through and it was like very visceral and very opening. And it's not like I coughed up hairballs or anything, but let me just say this, it cleared whatever it was. And I sat right back down and I did the 20-minute video with that, excuse me, hairball. It's like, yeah. So light language it's a vibrational thing. And I think right now for me, they're saying, don't worry about your dialect, just work on the vibrations of getting things and having the no doubt, kind of thing.
Yeah, I hear you. Do you see the dragon on my shoulder?
I saw the shadow of something, but when I was talking, I was more looking the other way, but there's definitely a being there.
Yeah, I feel the heat. Like
Well, the funny is I started getting hot and I'm like, what's around me? And then I was like looking over there.
You see, I see it as like this pink dragon. I feel like it's this pink dragon that by the way, I'm finishing the Brandy's, the 4, the level 4, the master level of the Sekim dragon and the Celtic dragon Reiki. And I did the video, yesterday when you go in, Merlin is there and then you get to meet a dragon, that one that she does. Mm-hmm. And but like that pink dragon is what I'm seeing, what I'm sensing right now. And it's just this really beautiful warmth, but then also because it's interesting because I feel them and then I see them. I feel them and then I see them. So it's very interesting. And to like how everybody has different gifts. So it's like, having this conversation where like I can feel it, but then you might see it, and then like I might speak it, but like he might hear it, and like it's just, I love it.
Yeah, I remember when I was trying to practice bringing in like, okay, today I'm going to try to bring in the Palladians, and I would sit and then I try to bring in like the Octorians or, whatever, Andromeda and Syrian and so on. And then I would get to the point where I'm like, you all feel the same. I'm not getting it. So I would just get up and walk away. But now I have little feelings of certain things. And because your guides are trying to get the information through to you, and they're trying to figure out what's the best way to do it. And I did a video on that this morning, because if you're asking for things and information, then you're not giving the time with your actions by sitting still and allowing the information to come through. They're going to come through and hit you right over the head. They're going to figure out some way to do it. to get,
Oh,
you're
gosh.
asking for this, you're opening this pathway, and then you're saying, well, where are you? Well, I'm sorry, were you not like running with full throttle all day long? I mean, how are we supposed to come in there?
By the way, I have a guy named Eric, and he sends me songs. Well, the funniest thing is when he sends me a song and I cannot place it. And then it's this game of like me looking up songs in Spotify, and me giving messages to people of like, do you know what this song is? And I still, now I don't even remember the song that I was listening to yesterday, but it's an example of not like just being able to sit down and like tune in and ask the questions of like, okay, give me more of this song so I can know why I need to hear this song. But I was just too like wanting to solve the song, and like I wound up listening to so many different songs on Spotify, but never tuned into this actual song.
Yeah, songs come through for me too. A couple weeks ago, I was driving and I'm like, okay, I really need to get up on how to do a banner for my YouTube and how to do this and how to do that, because it's just something I'm challenged at. I said, maybe I should have like a theme song or some theme music. And no sooner did I turn on the ramp to get on the highway, in my head, I'm hearing, what goes up must come down, spinning wheel, round and round. I was like, oh, that's pretty like, okay. So then I found it and I listened to it in the car and I was jamming. But I wake up to songs and hear songs all the time that are just boom. But then if I listen to them, I'm like, oh, that's so like pertinent right now.
Right? Well, what about when you get a song in your head, but you can't place it?
I don't know that I've had that occur.
And so I'm just laughing about it.
We don't know where Eric has been. We don't know what band Eric has been traveling with recently. So he could be like in a band that had an original song that was never produced.
Well, the thing is that I played that little bit that I could like be like, bah, 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 the tune as I heard it in my head. And I played it to her and she recognized it, but she recognized like, yes, I've heard that song, but she didn't know what it was. And she wouldn't tell me she didn't know what it was to tell me. So it's like, I'm on my own with that. It's like, it's I truly know that it's a test for me to tune in and like slow down, shut up, and like slow down, tune in, be quiet, and like listen for the song and not go to everybody else asking for them to tell me what the song is.
Well, it's just like every other information. It's in you and it will come through you to you again when it's ready.
I feel like I've heard this song recently and like liked it, and like now it's like it'll come back. But it is a kind of a funny thing because I do feel like this journey has been about coming back to trusting myself, trusting my intuition, and allowing things to come about, and then also trusting that the correct people will come to me. Like the people that are drawn to me are people that they'll just know like, oh yes, like it'll like, just like people, like that's why it's so important for us to help each other be seen more, so that the people that are meant to find us can more easily find us.
Oh, exactly. And it's also important to like, subscribe, and share, because that helps the algorithm that we have no control over. The only thing that is if you like it and subscribe and leave a message and hit the bell, then it goes into this computer and says, oh, well, they've had so many views and likes, let's put that one back out again. But we need everyone's support for that. So you guys, could you give us the finger? Just give us the finger. Give her the finger and give me the finger. We don't care what finger it is, but I'll use this one and hit like, hit subscribe, hit that bell, and use them all to leave us a message. We'd love to hear from you. So beautiful, Dina, I'm going to put your links in the description. And it has been a real honor and pleasure having you today. And we're going to do this again. And for anyone who would like a soul painting or a session with Dina, her link will be below. I highly encourage you to step onto this woo-woo train because it's getting full. It's starting to fill up because more and more people are getting on it. But it's going to really help you awaken and sparkin. I just made up a word. That's because I'm old enough to make my own dictionary now. It's going to spark things in your heart, things in your soul, and open you up to pathways to your original God self source. So with saying that, thank you, Miss Dina.
Thank
And
you.
yes, you're welcome, and much love and light to each and every one of you.
Yes.
Enjoy the
thank you.
1212 portal and all the loving energies, and we will see you next time.